I've been struggling with this for way over a decade now. I have to count the years. I actually just finished watching this really great video, you guys, about depression here on YouTube. It is a full lecture about depression from a Stanford professor named Robert Sapolsky. Most of this is going to come from what he said. I know that everyone has moments where they feel sad. And I know that in our society we use the word depressed all the time. Somebody go, oh, I feel so depressed. And they may say, I feel so depressed, and they feel a little down for 2 or 3 days, and then they're back on it. But I believe the actual definition for clinical or major depression is when that feeling of absolute malaise and moroseness lasts for 2 weeks or more. I have been dealing with diagnosed depression since I believe it was 1999. That was not when it started. It actually started in 1995, I believe, 4 or 5, when I was in college. But I didn't make it to a psychiatrist for them to actually diagnose me until 1999. So I am not talking about, oh, boo-hoo, I feel sad today, and I come back out, you know. The gentleman on the video talked about that. There's a difference between people who come back out and people who stay in. And I'm talking about the people who stay in that deep, dark, horrible place that is depression. So, and he defined depression as a biochemical disorder with a genetic component and early experience influences where somebody cannot appreciate sunsets. Okay, yeah, I'm laughing at it, but that's so perfect because it has a biological component. If you are suffering, there are actual studies that show, you know, neurotransmitter issues in people with depression. Their brains are actually different. He says it's a disorder because it's not how we are intended to be. It was a genetic component, which means it has a tendency to run in your family with an early experience influence, which means there's a trigger. I know exactly what my trigger was. I moved away to college and my grandmother died. And not only did my grandmother die, lots of people were dying. I had a solid decade of my life where I averaged about 1 funeral every 8 months, where someone can't appreciate sunsets, which I thought that was so perfect because you kind of lose your interest in everything. It's the number 4 cause of disability in the US. I did not know that. And honestly, the first thing I thought was, I could get disability. I am not currently being treated for my depression. I have taken medication, and I'll talk about that in a separate video. I hated it, and I don't want no smart talk from nobody talking about, oh, you should be medicated, because, you know, no, we are having a serious conversation. Man, I haven't been doing any talking to a therapist about it yet, because I have been going to a therapist, but we have been kind of engulfed in some other stuff going on. So now that that other stuff is a little under wraps, I actually have an appointment with him tomorrow, and I plan to bring this up. I'll share with you guys what's going on with that.